Welcome back to the International Desk. We've got some news just into scene, and US President Barack Obama is set to endorse Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton as soon as this week. That's according to two Democratic sources familiar with the efforts to unify the party. Mr. Obama's announcement is expected after Hillary Clinton is expected to become the party's presumptive nominee following Tuesday's contests. Well, US Republicans have a message for Donald Trump. Stop alienating Latinos. This comes after the presumptive presidential nominee said a Mexican-American judge would be biased, and then he said that he might apply that to a Muslim judge as well. Now, Trump is continuing to fight back. Phil Mattingly explains.
Donald Trump now musing that a hypothetical Muslim judge might not remain neutral if presiding over the case against Trump University.
If it were a Muslim judge, would you also feel like they wouldn't be able to treat you fairly because of that policy of yours?
It's possible, yes. Yeah, that would be possible.
And doubling down on his attacks against the Mexican-American federal judge he said should be disqualified from the trial.
If you are saying he can't do his job because of his race, is that not the definition of racism?
He's proud of his heritage, okay? I'm building a wall. He's a Mexican.
You're invoking his race when talking about whether or not he can do his job.
Jack, I'm building a wall, okay? I'm building a wall.
Trump's comments increasingly raising sharp concerns inside the Republican Party.
This is one of the worst mistakes Trump has made, and I think it's inexcusable. This judge is not Mexican. This judge is an American citizen.
Interviews with a series of top GOP officials, donors, fundraisers, and congressional aides making clear Trump has crossed a major line.
I completely disagree with the thinking behind that.
I don't condone the comments, and we can press on to another topic.
Do you think it's a racist statement to say?
I don't agree with what he had to say. This is a man who was born in Indiana.
It's a line of attack the Republicans fear could endanger their majority in the Senate, where the GOP is defending 24 seats this cycle and threaten the future of the party, something Senator McConnell hinted at in an interview with CNN's Jake Tapper last week.
Do you worry at all that your nominee now, Donald Trump, will do to Latino voters what Barry Goldwater did to African-American voters?
I do. I do.
Well, our Phil Mattingly joins us now live from New York. Phil, I understand you've been speaking to donors there. How do they feel about Trump's comments?
Well, look, they're very uncomfortable. A lot of them were wary of his candidacy to begin with, and you have to think about it, Lynda. This is kind of the epitome of the establishment. These donors are people that have backed traditional Republican candidates pretty much throughout the entire time they've given money. Donald Trump is not that. The majority of these people back Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio, Scott Walker. Now, gradually, and in many cases reluctantly, they have agreed to back Donald Trump because the Republican National Committee has asked them to do just that. When you have comments like Donald Trump has made over the last kind of 48, 72 hours related to this judge, those donors become very, very wary. And a lot of the donors I've talked to, Lynda, have made very clear. They were either about to give to Donald Trump and the RNC, now they're pulling back and reluctant to do so. Those who are still willing to give want major changes and fast. Lynda, the issue here is Donald Trump hasn't backed off really anything he's done over the last 11 months, and there's no sign he's going to back off these comments related to this federal judge.
That's right. It's interesting to note. It was just a couple of months ago that Trump said that at some point he will be so presidential that you people will be so bored. That seems far from happening.
Yeah, the one donor I talked to, this is actually funny, the one donor I spoke to, Lynda, said, I was one of those idiots who believed a pivot was actually coming. And I think a lot of Republicans assumed, and Donald Trump actually helped reinstate this kind of thought or theory behind closed doors, saying once he got to the general election, he would be a very different candidate. He said it publicly, as you just noted. That hasn't been the case. And the reality, Lynda, is when you talk to Trump officials, they make very clear everything they've done up to this point, in their eyes, has worked. And the numbers back that up. Obviously, he secured a Republican nomination. The difference now, and I think why you hear a lot of concern within the Republican Party, is Donald Trump is no longer playing to a Republican primary electorate. He's playing to a general electorate, a group of people that is much broader, much more diverse, I would say, than the group that he'd been playing to for the 9 months prior. And so that's why you see a lot of concern coming out of the Republican Party about not just the damage that this could do to the party on the whole, but the damage that it can do to its candidates that are up in 2016, that are up in November as well, Lynda.
And Phil, females, of course, have come into the firing line by Trump in the past, but he does have one woman on his side, his daughter Ivanka Trump, who some say could be his secret weapon.
Yeah, she's invaluable. I think there's no question about it. She is universally liked and respected what she's done from the business side of things. It goes across party lines. People respect and think very highly of Ivanka Trump. When she goes out and defends her father, people take notice and people value her opinion, her thoughts, her general perspective. I think the difficulty she has in this moment is not unlike what you see a lot of top Republican officials, as opposed to Ivanka Trump going out and talking about the value that her father brings to the country as a political candidate. She's answering for every one of the inflammatory statements he has. So no longer is she driving a message. She's in pure defense and response mode. So that kind of takes her off her game a little bit. And it's the problem we've seen across the board between women candidates that support Donald Trump, top Republican officials who support Donald Trump, and in many cases, his daughter.
All right, Phil Mattingly, live for us in New York. We will be speaking to you very soon, I'm sure. Thank you so much. And CNN will bring you extensive coverage of Tuesday's primaries with
Awesome.
5 states up for grabs, including California. We'll have the results, speeches, and in-depth analysis. That's all day Tuesday, right here on CNN. Well, still to come, the toll the Zika virus has on babies. One community struggle with the birth defects linked to that virus. Plus, new tensions over US troops in Okinawa. Now the Navy is taking steps to change the way its sailors behave.